Cindy and Andrew. We are the report course of International Student Department of Information Public. So here we have some questions. Would you mind we taking up some of your time?
Yes, absolutely.
Sure.
Oh, okay. We talk about the first question. And you have stayed in Hangzhou for a few times. Are you constantly alive here?
Well, this is actually my first time here. I've been here 2 weeks though, and it's been great. The coordinators that we've been working with have really taken good care of me. So that's Crystal, Trevor, Michael. The apartment setup is really good. Transportation, there seems to be no transportation problems. The class is always on time, which is really nice. I think I've been late a couple of times. The food is really nice, going to the cafeteria, the prices are reasonable. So yeah, I've adjusted really well. The facilities where we're living are very good. So yeah, my 2 weeks here so far have been really good.
Yeah, how are you?
So for me, it's my second time here in Hangzhou, and I can tell you equally and just echo exactly what Cindy just said. I think it's great to come back again for the second time. The amenities, the students, I think just generally the whole instruction experience has been great, and I'm loving it.
Yeah, okay. So what do you think of this city, Hangzhou?
So for me, for Hangzhou, I would say when I was here last year, I know the city was preparing for the September G20 summit, and coming back this year and seeing just the big roads and the infrastructure being completed and finished was amazing. And taking the car from the airport into where we're staying was just amazing to be on that road and just to see all that work being completed. And the second part was the metro. Last year when I came here, the metro was under construction where we were, and I actually used it yesterday for the first time. I'm going, wow, this is complete, it's finished, it's beautiful. So I'm loving Hangzhou, and Hangzhou is basically, it's a beautiful city.
Yes, that's a festival.
Yes.
Yeah, how about you?
I totally agree with that. I was being the first time here, I was actually quite surprised at how modernized the city is. I've been to other parts of China, like the large cities, Beijing, Shanghai, and you expect it there, and I wasn't sure what to expect here, but I wasn't expecting all these buildings. There's so many high-rises. There's more here than where I live in Canada. So that was actually surprising to me. However, even with all the high-rises, I don't see any problems with traffic. So we had the exact opposite. Not as many people, lots of traffic. And you guys have more people, less traffic. So I don't know how you do that. I guess the metro system is one of the reasons why. And seeing people riding bikes all the time, that's amazing. You don't see a lot of people riding bikes. Well, in Canada in the winter, you're not going to do that anyway. It's snowing. But even in the summer, the roads aren't set up for people riding bikes in Canada. They're actually starting to do that. But to see it here, it's actually quite nice. It's healthy for people. It's good for the environment. So it's like a win-win for everybody. So that's very nice to see. And just, the modernization, the roads, the buildings, the metro system. Your metro system is better than Toronto's. You have more lines, and that you guys have the ability to pay just for the length of time that you're actually on the metro system. For us, it's regardless of if you're on it for an hour or if you're just going 1 or 2 stops, it's the same amount. Here, obviously you guys know, you pay less if it's 1 or 2 stops, and you pay more the further out you go. So I think that really helps to get more people actually using it. I think Toronto should be doing that as well, because not as many people in Toronto actually use Metro, so maybe that's why we have more traffic as well. But yeah, I've been really surprised as far as not having as much traffic, and the roads being really good, the facilities being really good. The people have been wonderful as well, even though there's a language barrier. Again, the coordinators have been really taking good care of us and taking us grocery shopping, and that's one difficulty I'm actually having is the stuff in the grocery stores. I don't know what it is half the time because I can't just tell by looking at it, and I can't read the language. So I'm kind of understanding. I feel illiterate. I know English, but I don't know your language, and so I can't read the labels. Or even last week when it was Singles Day. So Trevor helped me to do some shopping, but I couldn't do it on my own because all the sites are in Chinese. So I just felt like a dummy. Like I didn't know how to navigate or even how to do a selection, women's shoes. I couldn't figure that out. Trevor had to do that for me. So as far as that goes, that's a little bit of a problem, but the people have been fantastic at helping me with everything. So I haven't had much trouble, but again, I've only been here 2 weeks. If I was living here, that might be more difficulty. But other than that, like the language barrier, I mean, you might be feeling it from like, you know, you feel you don't know English as well, but you know English a lot better than I know Chinese, which is 0. So you should be very proud, all of you who are communicating in English and taking these English classes, that you're able to follow along. Because if I were in your shoes on the other reverse side, I would have big trouble with that. So congratulations for that. That's one big advantage you guys have in being multilingual or bilingual. A lot of Canadians are not, so that's one big difference I've noticed.
And the next is about your teaching experience. As a foreigner teacher, what did impress you most in your teaching experience in China?
I'm impressed by how diligent the students are. I find in Canada, a lot of students, they don't pay attention. I think they take education for granted or don't value it as much. So I've noticed that one difference is, even though the students know the material, because when I ask questions, you guys have the answer right away, but I find there is less participation or less likelihood of students actually, you know, talking on their own, raising their hand to ask a question. In Canada, like students are very open and, you know, will interrupt instructors maybe too much. Maybe they're a little bit too much on one end of it, but they will ask questions during class. They, you know, they will, you know, comment on things during class as well. So I do find the Chinese students quieter. But that's the only difference that I've noticed.
Yeah, I think my experience too, just comparing Canada and my second time being here in Hangzhou, is I think students I find that Chinese students are extremely committed to their studies, and just talking individually to some of the some students as well too. And I've kept in touch with other students as well too from last year. I just find the commitment and the study very, very extremely focused compared to what I see in Canada. And now, I mean, you may want to take that with a grain of salt as well too, because I mean, in Canada, they're doing, you know, students may be doing other things as well too. They may be participating in other sports, or they may be participating in club sports and so on. And I know that in China, the club sports are not big, and they're not as big as they are in Canada or in the U.S. for that matter. But and I find that study is primary. It's number one here in China. So I do see that effort. I do see that commitment, which is, I think it's nicer for an instructor when you see that. From an instructor's point of view, that's amazing to see that level of commitment, which I find very, very different from what I see in Canada. So yeah.
Actually, one more thing while you were talking, I just thought of it. The other thing, not just the you know, activities outside school, but also a lot of kids in Canada, high school students and university students, have jobs. So whether it's a part-time job, or in some cases because you know, their parents may not have a lot of money, or there's only one parent, a single parent, that, you know, they are actually part of the earnings. It's not just spare money that they're trying to make from getting a job. It's they're actually, you know, contributing to the family and helping the parents pay their rent, or, you know, buy food, things like that. So I did a survey in my class that, you know, none of the Chinese students have ever had a job, and certainly don't have a job right now. But in Canada, even the high school students, a lot of them, not all of them, it's not mandatory, but a lot of them will have jobs. And I did as well. I started working when I was 16, and I've always had a job when I was in high school and university, whether part-time during school year, or in the summer I would have 2 jobs. I would work full-time during the day and still have my part-time job in the evenings or during the weekend. So that's actually a big difference as well. And, you know, there's pros and cons, like you're saying. Maybe it takes away time from students' studies, that they don't have enough time to put effort into their studies. But on the other hand, it does give them working experience. So, when I'm asking questions in the class, they're able to relate it to a real life experience, and they're able to participate more and understand some of the concepts I'm talking about as well. So there's both pros and cons of working while you're in school. So I can't say either way whether one system is better than the other system, but it is a definite difference.
Yeah, okay, let's go on the next question.
Okay.
Now our Chinese students are learning about accounting, and Cindy has taught us about performance management, and Angel is teaching us auditing. So what do you expect us to learn from the courses you are teaching?
Well, part of it, like for Canadians to come here, is to give you the benefit of our knowledge. I know some of the stuff that you're learning is Canadian specific. So when I was doing some of the teaching, there were company names that were Canadian specific companies like Loblaws or Dollarama, Sleep Country. When I asked, you guys even know what these companies are? They're like, no. So it's hard for you to then understand the material, or harder. I'm sure if you could do research and find out on your own as well. But having a Canadian perspective on Canadian specific material, we're hoping that we're able to give you the benefit of our knowledge that the Chinese instructors wouldn't have that knowledge. And then also to possibly make recommendations for future courses that they include, that they improve the material so that students in future years will have that understanding because it's part of the material, or they can change some of the material so it has Chinese company examples, not just Canadian company examples. So that's one of the reasons of coming here. But another reason, like for myself, it's just it gives me a different perspective as well, right? So it gives me worldwide knowledge of education in China versus Canada, and I can take those learnings back to Canada as well. So while it benefits you, it also benefits me. While it benefits the Chinese economy, that you're getting the benefit of our knowledge, it'll benefit the Canadian economy as well, because I can go back and take my learnings and apply them there, and maybe encourage other people to also come here and become instructors. So it is a win-win for both you and for us as well.
Yeah, and I think for me, I think what's really critical for me, and what I do in Canada as well too, and what I do here in Hangzhou, is bringing that industry experience, right? So I'm not a professor full-time back in Canada. To me, I do work in industry, in the oil and gas, and what's really critical and what I bring to the classroom, both here and back in Canada as well too, is to bring that experience as well, and bring that experience and being able to not just academically deliver what the material is that everybody needs to understand and get through the course, but also apply some of the learning experiences, some of the industry experiences as well. And to me, that to me is what makes me more passionate about the teaching as well too. So when I talk about auditing, I love to talk about audits that I've been on, or industry experience working as a commercial finance manager. What does that really mean, and what are my experiences as well? And I find that when you talk about personal experiences, you find that students actually get pulled in, and they want to ask more questions. They feel like they're more involved in the course material versus just giving kind of the academics behind it.
Yeah, it's very rewarding to take your own personal knowledge and pass it on, and have somebody else actually appreciate it. A lot of times, especially in Canada, I found when you're trying to, educate somebody or pass on your knowledge, sometimes it's like, I don't need to know, or I have my own understanding or whatever. But here, when you've asked us to come here and share our knowledge, it's a perfect opportunity for us people who love to teach and don't do it every single day because our job, our real, full-time job is something else. It gives us a way to teach and meet some of our other personal goals. I've always wanted to teach since I was young, but then you want to do multiple things. You can't do everything at once. So by coming here, I'm able to still be in accounting, which I love. I love FP&A, but I'm also then able to take that knowledge from something I love and apply it to another area of my life where I like teaching and passing on knowledge. So it's very fulfilling, it's very rewarding, and it's something that I really enjoy doing. And I'm hoping that taking my experience and my knowledge benefits you guys as well.
Yeah. we are quite think highly of you.
Oh, thank you.
Okay, the last question.
Okay.
You know we are the international students, so could you please give us some advice about English language learning and academic learning in the foreign college?
Okay. One of the things I would suggest is just, speak it whenever you can, wherever you can, with whoever you can. The more experience you have, whether at school or at home or outside with your friends or your teachers, whoever, the more you actually do it, the more you'll become comfortable with it. And especially when it's in a safe environment like this, where all of the students are kind of learning, you're at the same place. That you're able to help each other and correct each other, and you don't feel like people are making fun of you or anything like that. It's a safe environment for you to practice your English. And with us, absolutely. So, practice it with us. Sit down with us at lunchtime, or, volunteer, or, ask questions in class. Don't be afraid thinking maybe your English isn't good enough. We're certainly not going to make fun of you. Like I said, my Chinese is 0. So I really admire all of you that you're able to communicate and learn and study and talk to us in a language that is not your mother tongue, as well as you have been able to. So I've been very impressed with that regard. But I think, just the more you do it, the better you're going to be able to do it. So, and I would say not just with the Canadian instructors, I was actually surprised the Chinese instructors at this level don't actually teach in English. I would suggest that they do that as well, because it just gives you another opportunity to be thinking in English and talking in English and learning in English. And the more you do that, the better you'll be at it.
It's for me, I think, just talking to a few students as well too, I know that when they finish their undergraduate degrees here, they're seriously thinking about doing a master's right away, and that seems to be very, very typical, I think, of the Chinese students here in China. And to me, what I would encourage, if you want to build that English language as well too, is consider some of the universities in Canada. So I'm going to advocate, we're talking about advocacy here, I'm going to advocate some of the Canadian universities, which are great universities to go to, because that not only brings you into a place where it's an English university, but you're forced at that point to actually use English and communicate in English. And I mean, just working with Trevor and with Michael and Crystal, I mean, they went to English universities, and you can tell that they've had that opportunity to be immersed in it. And to me, that's a great way. I mean, that if you're asking for advice, that'd be a great way to take that next level and say, you know what, I'm going to go spend 2 or 3 years in Canada, go to a university there, get my master's, and I'll do it in English.
Yeah, you're providing us quite excellent advice.
Oh, thank you.
Yeah, and also thank you for your cooperation.
Oh, you're welcome. It's a
Thank you.
pleasure.